An update this morning on 2 local deputies who were stabbed by an inmate. What we know about the investigation into the attack.
And it's going to be warm and muggy throughout the week this week. We're talking about temperatures getting back up close to 90 degrees by the time we get to Wednesday. Getting closer towards that summer forecast. We'll talk about it coming up.
And Pope Leo XIV begins his first full week as pontiff with a message to thousands of journalists. We'll take a look at his first Sunday message and the issues that will guide his term.
All right, taking a live look outside in Fayetteville this morning at 6:30. Good morning to you guys there. 5 News This Morning is now.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News This Morning.
Well, thanks so much for waking up with us here on 5 News on Channel 5 and streaming on 5 Plus. I think we're waking up to a pretty decent day on a Monday. I mean, not too bad so far.
Yeah, let's call it partly cloudy skies out there right now. Some places seeing a little bit more sunshine than others. I think throughout the day, though, we'll increase that cloud coverage. A few spotty rain chances by the time we get to this evening. But then it's warm and it's muggy the rest of the week, getting closer towards that summer forecast. Here's a look at what we're tracking this week, and cloud coverage is going to stick around for today, increasing by the time we get to this afternoon into the evening. Of course, that's going to open up the window of maybe some spotty showers, if not an isolated thunderstorm here and there. Daytime highs today right around those 70s and 80s. Then once we get to tomorrow afternoon, throughout the rest of the work week, upper 80s, low 90s, it's going to feel like summer this week. Those weekend rain chances come back into the forecast by the time we get to this upcoming weekend. Maybe a few strong storms would accompany that as well. Futurecast shows us this for today. Again, that cloud coverage is going to stick around throughout most of the day. By the time we get later on this morning into the early afternoon, a few spotty showers would be possible. By the time we get later on this afternoon, let's talk about 3, 4 o'clock going into those evening hours. That's when we could see that coverage increase ever so slightly. Talking about a few more in the way of those scattered showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm, but the overall severe weather risk is not very high for today. Just expecting maybe a few thunderstorms here and there. Most of that rain chance clears up by the time we get later on this evening. Northwest Arkansas the rest of the day today, only reaching up into those low to mid 70s. Again, a few isolated thunderstorms would be possible this afternoon. Across the River Valley, reaching up into those upper 70s and low 80s, and that cloud coverage sticks around throughout most of the day today. Let's take a look at traffic out there this morning. Here's a live look out across I-540 there over the Arkansas River. Seeing some sunshine there this morning. Good morning to you there. No accidents, no slowdowns as you head out the door.
Thank you for that, Stephen. Well, new overnight, a breakthrough in trade talks between U.S. and Chinese officials, with the White House announcing both sides have agreed to a reduction of tariffs for at least 90 days as part of their trade negotiations.
Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%.
Meanwhile, the president is about to embark on an overseas trip for business talks in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates today. Now, Qatar confirming it is considering the possible transfer of a luxurious jumbo jet to the president for his temporary use, though it won't happen during his trip because the plane will have to be checked for security and spy devices first. The transfer is also subject to legal review, with some congressional Democrats now pushing for an investigation.
And President Trump has unveiled plans for a new policy he says will reduce U.S. prescription drug prices. Trump says he plans to sign an executive order for that this morning. He's also aiming to institute a most favored nations policy that pins the cost of drugs sold in the United States to the lowest price paid by other countries for the same drug. He says the reduction in prescription drug costs in the U.S. would be counterbalanced by higher costs in other countries.
Well, President Trump has expressed doubt that Ukraine will reach a ceasefire deal with Russia. In a Truth Social post over the weekend, the president noted that President Putin of Russia, he says, doesn't want to have a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, but rather wants to meet on Thursday in Turkey. Overnight, Ukraine's president said that he'll be in Turkey that day, challenging Putin to also show up for ceasefire negotiations, saying that Zelensky had called Russia's offer of direct talks a positive sign. Well, less than a week into his new role, Pope Leo XIV is starting the week speaking to thousands of journalists at the Vatican in what has become a common practice for incoming popes.
Yeah, Naomi Rackham has a look at his first official message to the world over the weekend and what we can expect from the new leader of the Catholic Church.
Pope Leo began his first full week as Pope by speaking to an enthusiastic crowd of journalists Monday. He follows a tradition of meeting with the media days after election.
Buongiorno. Good morning, and thank you for this wonderful reception. They say when they clap at the beginning, it doesn't matter much. If you're still awake at the end and you still want to applaud, thank you very much.
These remarks followed his first Sunday blessing as pontiff, where he called for lasting peace in Ukraine and the Middle East.
Mai più la guerra.
From the balcony at St. Peter's Basilica, the Pope spoke to a crowd of an estimated 100,000 faithful, with many more tuning in around the world.
He now has a lot on his shoulders, and having been born in the city of big shoulders, I think he's up to the task.
The Pope already has a history of sharing his views with the public, posting about political issues on social media, including criticism of the Trump administration's stances on immigration. And those who know him well believe his wide range of experience will serve Pope Leo through his term.
Having been a missionary in Peru has given him a very global perspective.
Connecting Catholics from the Americas, Europe, and beyond during his first days leading the Catholic Church. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
And in continuing local coverage this morning, we're following developments from the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office on the condition of the two deputies who were stabbed by an inmate late last week. One of the deputies went through surgery on Friday. We're learning now he's been moved out of the ICU and is on the road to recovery. The other injured deputy was treated and released on Friday. Investigators say the inmate named John Anthony Cole, who you see here, used a shank to stab the deputies inside the jail. He's already been sentenced to prison for a murder in Arizona and awaiting trial for another murder that happened in Fort Smith. He's in custody this morning. And of course, we'll bring you any developments on any new charges filed against him for the stabbings.
And it is special election week in Arkansas. Election day is Tuesday, tomorrow. In several local races, voters will be casting ballots on issues including school board races and millage proposals. You can text the word VOTE to 479-785-5000. We'll send you a link to our website showing you a breakdown of the issues and a list of early voting sites that are open today. Well, as graduation season sweeps across the country, hundreds of thousands of new college graduates are stepping into the workforce, and experts say these grads appear to be in a better spot than years prior in the job market. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, around 90% of employers anticipate a large increase in hiring levels from 2024, that number being nearly by 25% in a survey conducted between late February and late March of this year. Meanwhile, for high school grads, one counselor at Fayetteville High School says the number of students applying to Northwest Arkansas Community College has jumped from around 9% to about 19 or 20%.
There may be a cost factor in there. Kids don't sometimes know what they want to do, and so they're taking their basic classes, getting their maybe associate's degrees at NWAC, and then moving on to a four-year school.
She also says that 65 to 70% of students are still applying to four-year colleges.
Well, a lawsuit is blocking the transfer of two elephants from Los Angeles to Oklahoma. The Tulsa Zoo is hoping to add the animals to their elephant preserve, but a group of activists filed a lawsuit to block the transfer. The lawsuit alleges the LA Zoo misled the public about where the animals were being moved to and is asking the court to send the elephants to a wildlife sanctuary that is not a zoo. Well, the latest on radar outages at the Newark International Airport, and could other airports in the U.S. face similar problems? That story's ahead.
And here's a look at that bus stop forecast. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the day today, increasing that cloud coverage by the time we get to this afternoon. A few spotty showers will be possible by the time we're heading home as well. There's a live look there in Fayetteville, seeing some clouds, but seeing some sun as well out there this morning. Good morning to you there. No accidents, no slowdowns as you head out the door.